About 150 business leaders, municipal officials, and representatives of an array of state agencies and not-for-profit organizations converged on the Grand Summit Resort at Mount Snow in Dover, Vermont, on Wednesday, May 30th, for the second annual Southern Vermont Economic Development Conference. The day-long event highlighted partnerships that were forming and deepening across the Bennington County and Windham County areas of the state's southern tier, with the goal of strengthening the region's economy. While participants shared ideas and experiences, they heard from several speakers, such as Bennington College President Mariko Silver and Tim Martin, an acting regional administrator for the U.S. Department of Labor's Boston Regional Office. A highlight of the day's events was the public kickoff for the new Southern Vermont Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, or SEDS, for Bennington and Windham counties. Windham County already has a SEDS in place, which helps leverage other funding from state and federal resources. Adam Grinold, the executive director of the Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation, which along with the Bennington County Regional Commission is spearheading the Bi-County SEDS initiative, described what it involved.
So what we know is that in southern Vermont, communities in Bennington and Windham County, roughly about 50 different communities between those two counties, that no one town is strong enough to implement impactful economic development planning across the entire region. So in order to really make a difference, we have to come together and develop strategies that recognize all of our collective assets and make sure that we have those partnerships and communications going between those two counties so that eventually we're all rowing our boats in the same direction, that we're not replicating efforts, that we can hand off duties and responsibilities to other municipalities or nonprofits or organizations that may be better suited to implement a two-county-wide program so the other organization can focus on its core mission.
Participants in the conference took part in an exercise led by a consulting group to flesh out some aspects of the SEDS. Before that, they took part in breakout sessions, which featured panels on subjects like workforce development, public-private partnerships, municipal partnerships, and the interplay of technology and the rural economy. Several of the panelists were from the Northshire or Bennington County area, such as Dorset manager Rob Giotti and Janet Hurley, the Director of Planning and Zoning in Manchester, who shared some of their experiences with their audience. They spoke with us after their panel discussion.
Part of it was just, this was the municipal partnership panel, so it's just kind of talking about how towns or municipalities can work together to further some of these ideas and around workforce housing, jobs in general, and economic development. So I'm here because it's basically to have the municipalities physically here, a representative from them, I think is important in this whole discussion because a lot of the gatekeeping and or stuff that has to happen has to, at one point, involve the municipalities. So.
And Janet, I heard you talking about the recently finalized zoning project.
In Manchester.
Must be that's probably going to be a significant step.
It's huge for Manchester and for the Northshire, I think, because it will hopefully try to address, some of the workforce housing issues. Manchester has basically increased the residential density allowances in the core of the town in a way that we really hope will start to address this long-standing issue.
Another one was led by Weston resident and town moderator Wayne Granquist and included Manchester town manager John O'Keefe. Granquist was the chairman of the Southern Vermont Economic Zone Report, which came out in 2015 and raised concerns about the aging of the area's workforce and population and helped spur officials in both counties to broaden their relationships and cooperation. He spoke about how things have developed since that report came out more than 2.5 years ago.
It's clear that this is going to take time. There are no instant results that are possible in economic development because things don't change that quickly. On the other hand, we've gotten some progress made. We got an appropriation from the legislature to begin the planning for a comprehensive strategy. That work is underway. We're meeting every month in the Bennington region to look at developing that strategy. This conversation today with all these participants is a part of that strategy development. I'm delighted to see a lot of business people here because we can't do this with just bureaucrats and government officials. So that's a plus. The other thing I would say is that things like the Manchester Chamber disappeared. a while ago. Now we've got new energy in Manchester and Bennington, putting things back together again for the business community. So that's a big positive step. And the Brattleboro area, which includes up to Weston and Londonderry, is really getting energized, as I think you've seen today. So I would say we're making progress. We've laid the foundation. It'll take a while, but I'm pleased with the direction that things are going.
Paul Carocchio and Joy Proft are two Manchester business people who made the journey to Dover to take it all in, and they talked about their impressions and thoughts.
Well, for me, coming and hearing about the ideas of initiatives going on in southern Vermont, it was great to hear. I mean, to know what people are working on in public and private partnerships working to help build communities. As a business owner, even though I'm maybe not directly related with the planning and organizing of these things, it's good to know what's going on, and definitely a lot going on in Brattleboro and in Bennington that I think is interesting to all of us in the region.
From my perspective, being from Manchester, I think we need more representation in this region. If it's going to be a regional approach, which it seems it's moving towards, Manchester and the mountain areas have some of the largest grand lists in the region, and I don't think they're well represented at the table. And when you talk about economic development, Manchester and the Bromley Mountain, Stratton Mountain, Weston, Windham areas bring a lot of financial drive to our communities. So my ambitions were to be here to represent that region, and hopefully, or sub-region per se, and then hopefully it brings something to the table.
The conference concluded with some awards and recognition for emerging leaders from the area's cadre of young professionals. The state's Commerce Secretary, Michael Sherling, and the Labor Secretary, Lindsay Curley, gave them some advice and encouragement.
It's your world. Millennials are controlling the future. So embrace that and take that for a drive. And do that weaving together the following 6 things. Get involved. You're part of the Young Professionals Organization, so you're involved already. But at a community level, that's where progress is really made. Vermont, on the whole, is community size, so on a statewide level you can have just as much impact as you can on a municipal level. So get involved, stay involved, and steer the ship in the direction you want it to go.
Several of the young professionals are from the Bennington County region, and one of them was Greg Beauchart, the chairman of the Manchester Planning Commission, which the night before had seen its new zoning ordinance plan adopted by the town select board. More events are planned for the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, or CEDS, which will be rolled out over the next 6 months. For the GNAT-TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.